So I did over 100 interviews for Morphenomenal, How the Power Rangers Conquer the World. But one of the most exciting was with Gregg Bullock, the actor who plays Jerome Stone. You might not know the name, but you definitely know Jerome Stone's titles. Detective Stone, Lieutenant Stone. He shows up in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3 as something of a hard-nosed guy for a kind of rein-in, a mentor-type figure for Bulk and Skull, and ends up staying on the show through Power Rangers Turbo, leaves the show after that. And what's really fun about Gregg is he hasn't given a lot of interviews over the years. He's somebody, as far as I know, this is the only interview he's ever given about his time on the show. And I think it's so rare now to hear from people, especially the actors, especially the people out there who have these faces that people recognize and that the people that they grew up admiring or laughing at or laughing with. And it's so rare to get that opportunity. So I can't appreciate Gregg enough, for giving me the time to talk with him. We spoke for over an hour about his, time on the show and some of the stuff. And I think, ultimately what's unfortunate is for a book like mine that's, documenting the history of Power Rangers and the brand and all the things that surround a show that's as massive in pop culture as Power Rangers is. Lieutenant Stone ultimately is a bit player in all of that. So I don't use a whole lot from Gregg. He might have 2 quotes in the entire book, if I remember right. So I have all of this material, though, sitting on hard drives, hundreds of hours of interviews, and I want to be able to share some of that with people. And I think, especially with a guy like Gregg, it's so cool to just hear stories. And so you'll get to hear a little bit of how he got the part and some of his, how the onset experience was like for him. And I think that's something fans should get to enjoy. I don't want to be the person that hoards that stuff. So I hope you'll pre-order Morphenomenal, How the Power Rangers Conquer the World. If you haven't, it's available from any bookseller, Amazon, bookshop.org, Barnes & Nobles, anywhere you can buy a book. Go down to your local store if you can, especially, and have them order it. That would be, support your local shops if you can. If you don't, though, still enjoy this. It's something that you should listen to and get a kick out of if you're a Power Rangers fan. So I hope you enjoy this clip from my interview with Gregg Bullock.
But to fast forward to 1994, when I had acquired an agent, and I'd done a few little things here and there, commercials and some industrial videos and things like that. But to help pay the bills, I was working as a karaoke host. For Acapulco restaurants. And I remember I was getting ready one night, and my agent called and she said, "Okay, I got you 2 interviews for next week." I'm like, "Yes, all right. What are they?" She said, "Well, one is a brand new sitcom, a pilot for a sitcom. It's one of the leads. And the other is for Power Rangers." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, Power Rangers. Hey, I'm liking the sitcom. I'm all for that. Yeah." So she said, "Okay, well, I'm working it out now to get you the sides and so you could start preparing." So yeah, I go to work. I'm all excited. The next day, I pull up on television what this Power Rangers show is. And because it was in the afternoons at like 4 or whatever, like something like that. And I look at my roommate and I'm like, "Man, is this a stupid show?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I don't get associated with this show. I want that sitcom." So it was, I think on Monday, I had gotten the sides for the sitcom. It was pretty cool. I don't even remember the name of it now, but I was ready to go because it was on Thursday. And she calls me on Monday and said, "Well, I got some bad news." She said the sitcom canceled because they decided to go with some name actors. I'm like, "Oh, man, are you kidding me?" So she said, "But you still have the Power Rangers." I'm like, "Oh, goody, Yay." So the role of the Power Ranger, I played Lieutenant Stone, of course, but it required, the description of the character was a drill sergeant. So I go down to the local Army surplus and buy some drill sergeant fatigues because I'm thinking drill sergeant. Okay, so Army drill sergeant. So I get to the audition. I go upstairs and I walk in, and there's probably 15 20, I don't know, I didn't count, but 15 other guys who were dressed like me. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. However, they were all drill sergeant type looking guys, no neck, arms like this buff. They were all crew cut and drill sergeant looking guys. I'm like, oh, I don't have a chance, cause I was like 170, 6'1", thin as a beanpole, that kind of thing. I'm like, I don't even come close to a drill sergeant. So I was going to leave. I went down to my car because I was ready to leave. And, that little inner voice said, no, just go up. It's an audition. You just audition for the heck of it, just for experience. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like to do. I like to audition at least. So I said, all right, I'll go back upstairs and I'll audition. So I did. And I think it was 2 days later, my agent called and said, hey, I don't know what you did, but they loved your audition. And you got the part. I'm like, whoa, okay, awesome. I'm like, okay, well, I got a part. I knew it was Power Rangers, but at least I got a part, right? And it was paid. So it was scheduled for 3 days. And we were shooting down at the Los Angeles Police Academy. So I get there on the day of, and they give me my own little dressing room, trailer kind of thing. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm liking this. I put on a police officer's uniform, lieutenant bars and everything. And I'm just kind of going over my lines and everything. And so finally they call me to set, and I'm walking by myself. They just the girls told me, okay, just go straight down, the street there, and you'll run right into the set. Okay. So I'm walking by myself, and I'm in a lieutenant's uniform. Coming towards me was a group of recruits jogging up the street. All of a sudden, they start saluting me, and I'm like, "Oh, this is too good, man." I almost said, "Drop and give me 20," because I had these, lieutenant bars on, and they saluted me, and I'm like, "No, man, this is my first day. I can't do that. I can't do anything like that, man." That just totally ruined my career. So I had to go, but I just had a good snicker off of that one. So yeah, I get to set, and I meet Jason and Narvi and Paul, and from there, I did my 3 days, and then it was probably a week, maybe after they had reviewed, the dailies and had the episode cut and put together. My agent got a call and said, "Hey, we'd like to have Gregg come back for another episode." So I'm like, "All right, this is cool. I'll come back, sure." So, cause it was fun. Everybody was good. Paul and Narvi were a blast to work with. And, basically, long story short, it was, they had me back for an episode, and then another episode, and then another episode. And then that turned into a recurring role. And then, by, I don't know, the 8th episode, it turned into what they called a starring role, which was really, not a starring role, but I was more a regular. That's what it was, regular. And so I was a regular on Power Rangers. I was the comedy sidekick of, Bulk and Skull, where I got the blunt of their jokes, pie in the face, pizza on the hair, you name it, and they were the three of us became the comedy trio of the show, and it was fun. It was exciting, we got to do all kinds of stuff. Shooting over at I want to say not Santa Clarita, but near Santa Clarita is where the studio was. But there was a lake over there. I can't think of the name of it now, but we'd shoot there and just everywhere. And it had a bunch of scenes with the Power Rangers themselves when we were either on location or we were inside the studio. And that's and then in 1990, then we did the movie Turbo, and we were shooting I had a small scene. Well, I had several scenes in the movie, but it was cut down. I think I had 4 scenes, but cut down to 1. And the one scene that was left in the movie, have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So you saw the baseball one. So yeah, that was at Oakland Stadium. And, so I relate Oakland Stadium to my marriage because it was on the last day that we shot that, I think it was a Wednesday or something like that. That following week I was getting married. So everyone said, hey, congratulations on your marriage, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that was 1996. Had to have been, because, my anniversary is October 15th. And so it had to have been just the week prior to, like this week, or no, last week would have been when we were shooting the movie there in Oakland. So that's how I can relate, my marriage with the movie because it was coinciding each other. So, then in 1998, the producers just decided, hey, let's end Lieutenant Stone's. I had gone through, as you may have seen in several of the shows, from lieutenant to detective, then juice bar owner. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when I finally ended the juice bar as a juice bar owner. I took over for Ernie. And then one of my favorite seasons were when Bulk and Skull where Paul and Jason went off the show for a season, and I was working with the chimpanzees. Uh-huh. That was a blast. That was a kick, working with the two. Sometimes it was a little scary because the little one, his first time, he'd freak out sometimes, and they'd have to come and get him from me because he was like freaking out, and I'm like, okay, I don't want him to tear my head off, tear my arm off, or because they were pouring juices on my head, and I'd have them in my arms, and they'd have to do that several takes. I'd have to go back to the trailer, get dried off, and it was crazy, but it was fun. It was fun.